Hello there everybody, it is me XfreezerBunny. Welcome back to another video and welcome back to another Philippines inspired speed build. So today I decided to tackle building a modern Bahay Kubo, which is basically a modern Filipino family home. Now this build is part of the Kababayan Sims collab. Basically a bunch of us Filipino simmers decided to come together and do builds intended to showcase Philippine culture. So joining me for this build are SIMMNICE, ROCKIE Plays, IVORY, MYT, and Cassie Builds. It's going to be a cross-platform collab happening on YouTube and on Instagram. Some of the guys already posted their works on Instagram and I highly suggest you check them out. I think some of us are also going to be sharing our works on YouTube as well, so I will put links to everyone's builds in the description and I highly suggest you check them out so you can get the full effect of the collab. So once again, I'm so excited to do another Philippine inspired build because any chance I get to share a little bit about my culture I will take. This time I decided to tackle a modern Bahay Kubo. I've done two other Bahay Kubo builds before and they were a little bit more in the traditional vintage style, and this time I decided to kind of draw attention to the more modern Philippine culture. So I decided to do this build which kind of combines, the traditional elements and also the modern elements as well. So that was basically the main challenge for me doing this build, was how to create a house that was true to Philippine culture but also make it modern and functional for, a family in the 21st century basically. So this is what I came up with. The house ended up having 2 bedrooms. It's made for a young family with maybe 1 or 2 kids. And honestly, you guys, I may be biased because this is a Philippine build, but this is hands down one of my favorite builds I've ever done. I'm so happy with how this build turned out, and my inner architect is rejoicing because I think this is a pretty good representation of a modern Bahay Kubo. Basically, a lot of houses like these you'll see in a lot of popular tourist destinations. I specifically looked at new modern houses in Siargao Island, which is kind of like an up-and-coming tourist destination. One of the more famous residents of that place is the Filipina actress Andy Eigenman, and she has a very high-profile house build that she shares on her social media. I think she's on YouTube actually, and it's kind of like a combination of traditional and modern elements. I didn't really copy any house in particular. This is an original design, I'm claiming it, but you'll see a lot of similar details, I guess. So yeah. One technique that I used a lot in this build is actually scaling down doors using the new scale option from the tool mod actually. So if you have the updated version of the tool mod, you have the scale option, which is amazing because I used it so much in this build. So you know how you can size down objects using the move objects and control bracket keys, right? Well, the tool mod gives you a lot more control because you can be a little bit more specific with the scale. So you're not just stuck with the predetermined scale ratio that the game gives you. You can, do more minute changes, which is amazing for me as a perfectionist because it basically gave me the ability to really make everything exactly what I wanted it to. So basically, in order to achieve this kind of like modern open concept floor plan for the downstairs, I scaled down a bunch of doors from Eco Lifestyle mostly, and I made them look like they're open sliding doors, because basically the Bahay Kubo, in case you didn't know, it's a stilt house. It's actually a bamboo house on stilts that's very common in the Philippine countryside even until today. A while back, when I went home for the holidays, I actually was really surprised to see that there's still a lot of houses that have thatched roofs where I'm from, and hopefully that continues, because, you know, I really love seeing all of these traditional aspects being incorporated in modern Philippine culture, because I think that we need to embrace all of that, right? So anyway, I think one core design feature of this build is the fact that the ground floor is open. Traditional Filipino architecture also tends to have modular spaces as well. Like sometimes a room can change its function depending on the occasion, basically. And in this case, I think that worked really well for this main living area, because basically it's the kitchen, dining, and living area, and it can also be like an outdoorsy space as well, you know, which is great because the Philippines is a tropical country and most of the time we have amazing sunny weather all year round. Most of the time. Sometimes we do have some crazy storms, but yeah, I think this house can survive that, because as you can see, I did also use a lot of concrete. And one thing that I have noticed about Bahay Kubos recently is that a lot of them do have some concrete parts to them. It's becoming more of like a hybrid structure, so I think you can also see a little bit of that reflected in this build. Like basically, I would be so happy if a Filipino sees this and sees a little bit of nostalgia and also recognize some of the trends that's happening around the country today. So for this main living area, I did use a lot of wooden furniture. I love that ceiling detail I did using some of the wooden details from Eco Lifestyle. I basically just rotated them using the tool mod, and also here it's a little bit of an Easter egg referring to Philippine culture that spoon and fork is one of the items that specifically is a reference to Philippine culture in the game. We also have some Filipino food as well, such as adobo and ensaymada and siopaw, I think, in the game as well. So I don't know, maybe when I'm filming the house tour for this build, I will make my Sims eat some of those foods. But yeah, I was really happy with the living area. It felt very modern but also very Filipino at the same time. I hope I didn't go overboard with all of those lights in the counter area in the kitchen, but I really like it. I feel like this place has a very chill, kind of laid back, you know, island vibes, but I think it's also very chic as well. I wanted to make it feel a little bit more sophisticated, if you get what I mean. So yeah, it was kind of like a balance that I had to tiptoe, but I'm really happy with how everything came together. I really love using these concrete textures, like this stucco right here. I think it's from Jungle Adventures. It is so stunning. Like, look at that texture. Do you really need a lot of wall art when you have that wall? I don't think so. And also, in case you didn't notice, I also used some of these woven wall paper, I guess, as accent walls on the bedrooms, and I thought that was a good reference to Filipino culture as well, because traditional houses do have that woven banig texture as well. Anyway, this is the master bedroom. Really happy with the color scheme for this place. I didn't clutter it too much, but I really love that bedroom. Like, you don't really need to stay indoors that much if you live in a place like this, I gotta say. Also, some of the patterns I used in the master bedroom reminds me of some Philippine tribal patterns, like you can see from that little poof right there next to the bed, and also from the lamp on the bedside table as well. It has like some tribal pattern that is kind of reminiscent of Philippine tribal fabrics and stuff, so I was able to incorporate a little bit of that in this build as well. And right now we're actually furnishing probably my favorite room in this house and probably one of my favorite kids' bedrooms I've ever done. I did this cute little bunk bed technique, which are basically just stacked two beds on top of each other, and did this cute little staircase using the tool mod. Honestly, like, the tool mod, it's the bomb.com, you guys. Like, seriously, if you don't have it, you can download it for free. I'll put it in the description, and you can do so much with it. I think that The Sims 4 can really benefit with an advanced move option. You know how in Planet Coaster and in Planet Zoo, you can literally rotate an item any way you want? I wish we had that, because technically The Sims 4 can rotate items, as you can see with the tool mod. You can do the advanced placement, it's just we don't have the interface to do that in game. So anyway, before I get carried away, for the kids' bedroom, I did imagine this for a kid that is really into video games and also really into surfing as well. I imagine this family in general would be really into surfing, so I did put a lot of those scaled up, what are those, like skateboards, I guess? And we can just pretend that those are surfboards. I also love the blue accent wall in this room. It is so stunning, and once again, the texture on that wallpaper is just so gorgeous. I've been using that a lot in my recent builds. If you notice, in my Kielmachia and in my New York apartment builds, I also use the same wallpaper because it is so good. And yeah, we're just putting in a bunch of other, you know, clutter items over here on the kids' bedroom. And we're now moving on to the only bathroom in this house. There is a little room in the ground floor where the main staircase is at. And if you want to, you can put a toilet in there and make it into kind of like a powder room or whatever, but I just left it empty. But this bathroom is very small, it's only 3x3, but honestly, I actually didn't mind the size because I also really like how this bathroom turned out. It felt very bohemian, which I loved, and I think it's one of my favorites. Again, I would totally like spend hours in here, and I can spend hours in a bathroom, believe me. So yeah, here I'm just incorporating some of these scuba diving gear. I think it's a shelf from Island Living. Once again, I feel like the family that lives here is into scuba diving. Like, this house is probably somewhere in maybe central or southern Philippines, because that's where all of the famous dive sites are. And here I am using the tool mod to basically rotate this skateboard item, size it up and rotate it to make it look like surfboards that's propped up on this wall right here. It took me a little bit of time, but I wanted you to see the whole process of how I did it. Honestly, the tool mod is so useful, you guys. It's also making my builds take a lot longer because of just how much detail I can incorporate in the builds, but I'm so happy with how the build turns out with the tool mod. I'm really grateful that we have that in our life right now. And also, you can see that I made some adjustments to the roof as well. I wanted to get the proportions perfectly so you can still recognize it as a Bahay Kubo So yeah, I'm really happy with how the roof turned out actually. In other news, the new game pack is coming out in a couple of days. Let me know what you think about it. I think some of the people who got early access are already putting out their videos. I haven't seen any video yet. Surprisingly, YouTube recommendation still hasn't gotten to me, so I don't know if I'm gonna check it out or if I'm gonna, you know, wait it out until I get my own copy and do a first impressions or whatever. I don't know, but I'm really excited to get my hands on it and maybe we can build something interesting. But for the landscaping, I just kept it really simple. As you can see, I put a nice little fence for privacy and just a bunch of tropical plants. Mostly from Island Living, but I also use like a banana tree from Jungle Adventures as well. And I noticed that the grass in Sulani was a little bit dark, so I'm using a lighter grass texture over here, mixing with a little bit of dirt to make it look realistic. And here I am just incorporating a little meditation area. I also did this little fountain thing. I don't know where this technique is from, but I saw this from another SimTuber builder a while back, so I'm snatching their technique basically. But here I was only able to fit in one yoga mat, but you know, it's a nice little space for your Sims to relax. And I also incorporated a laundry room. I just put a washing machine in here and then a separate clothesline because I feel like this is more Filipino, having a clothesline instead of a dryer over here. To be honest, if you really wanted the realistic vibes, you can have like a wash basin and that would be way more realistic. But since this is more modern, I decided to just go for a washing machine. And over here we have a cute little lounge area. But I think that's actually going to be it for this build. I am just putting in those solar panels, but yeah, I think that's going to be it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Once again, please don't forget to check out everybody else's builds linked down in the description. But other than that, I'm gonna go now. Thank you so much for watching. You all have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.